Every morning I get up and do exercises. I get up early, just before dawn. Then I wash my face, brush my teeth, everything is as it should be. Then I cook myself breakfast. I love beans, really. Mom and Dad said that vegetables are healthy. Now I think so too. But it's a pity that they are canned. Closer to lunch, I sit down to read. I read a lot, I have a lot of books, I'm studying, on my own. 2 hours of classes, and then I can go for a walk. We have a big balcony, but sometimes I run out onto the roof. It's good here. I try to spend more time during the day. I never sleep at lunch. In winter, of course. I almost never go out on the balcony. And I never go down to the street. Someday, it will all end. And I'll have to go out there. The food will run out first. These preserves should be enough for me for maybe another year. Father said so. I eat 1 can a day. I have learned how to collect water, there will be no problems with it. At least the rains are not such a rare phenomenon. Walking on the roofs, eating only canned food? Are you crazy? Where are your parents looking? You ask me. And they look at me, always. Down there on the street. But I never go down to them. That's what my mom told me. How much I would like to go to them. Don't go outside. And if necessary, then only during the day. I couldn't believe that I would listen to such words from my mother. I didn't believe that this could happen to us, with our city. And now I'm alone. I live on my 7th floor, shut out from the rest of the world. I have been eating canned food and biscuits for almost 5 months. It's good that Mom is stocked up on vitamins, it seems like I have enough of them. But I really want ordinary food. I would pay any money for a piece of cake. If I had them, of course. At first, I was afraid at night. It was hard to fall asleep to the creatures screaming in the street. Then I was afraid that someone would see a light in my window. So I tightly closed the windows inside with a dark cloth. You ask me how I live in winter? A small iron stove, my father assembled it right here and brought the pipe out into the window. Firewood and coal in the stairwell. Sometimes I go into the neighbors' apartments and break some stools. I sleep at night near the stove. Everything would have been fine. But the day came when I almost ran out of food, 12 cans of canned food, peaches and beans. It was necessary to go to the nearest warehouse of the store. My father brought them from the nearest supermarket. I looked out on the balcony. There was no one downstairs. I haven't seen much of anyone all winter. They seem to have disappeared. I've been thinking about a plan to go outside for a long time. It's good that I knew my city like the back of my hand. I started packing long before dawn. I covered my arms and legs with thick magazines. I wrapped a wool scarf around my neck. It became a little uncomfortable, but I felt somehow safe. I had my father's hammer in my hand and a backpack on my back. I can't carry much food, but I'll probably get enough supplies for a couple of weeks. And in the summer I think it will be easier to find food. I opened the landing door. There was absolute silence. For the first time in a long time I went out into the yard. My heart was pounding wildly. Since there was no electricity for a long time, the entrance door did not close. I opened the door and tried to push it. Something was holding her outside. I put my foot on the protruding threshold and pushed with all my might. It was a dead man. He was lying there looking right at me. His eyes have been frozen for a long time. He did not move. I was about to give up this idea and turn around home, but starving to death was also not a good idea. The yard was empty. Not a single creature on the street, except for those lying under the snow. I didn't know where they had gone. Just before the beginning of winter, they began to disappear a little. I don't know. Maybe they've spread out into the basements. It was scary, but I reached the store with a quiet, careful step. Nobody cleaned the snow on the street, so it was also a big problem. I went in through the broken window, trying not to step on the glass. It was dark inside and there was a lot of snow. I looked around. Cooking, juices, cereals. The shelves were almost empty, and then I found a door leading to the warehouse. There were many times more chances to find something edible there. The door was propped up with something. I leaned my head and listened. Silence. I had no choice. I had to open it. When I opened the door I saw large rows of shelves. There were boxes on them. Lots of boxes. I didn't understand why they didn't take it all out. I tried to fill my backpack. Cereals, canned food, stew as soon as possible. I didn't even look at the expiration date. My legs were shaking and they were pulling me back to my home, to a safe haven. After stuffing my backpack and dropping a couple of packages, I turned around and went to the exit. So that's why this warehouse was closed. There was one of those dead people here. I caught my hand on the shelf rack and it fell right on the dead man. His head shattered into small pieces. I picked up my backpack and ran home. Someone was standing outside my door. By the light of the lantern, I saw who it was. It was my father. It was my father. He was standing right in front of my door. On his back hung the same backpack with which he then left. It all started 5 months ago. My father and I were sitting at the computer, and then we heard a loud knock on the door. I ran to open it, and there stood my mother with a frightened face. She immediately closed the door behind her. Dad asked, "What happened?" Mom replied that 2 strange people were running after her. One of them was covered in paint or blood stains. She was able to hide from them in the entrance. Maybe it's a prank? At that moment, there was a crash on the street. We all ran to the window. There was an accident downstairs. Something strange was happening on the street. We didn't go out for the next 2 days. There was more news on TV about crazy people who threw themselves at others. They said it was a new disease that came to us from India. People were encouraged to stay at home, but the food was running out, and our neighbors began to go outside. Many of them didn't return. They said that one should be wary of the bites of these infected. In the evening, our neighbor knocked on our door. He discussed something for a long time in the kitchen with my father, and the next day they went somewhere. They returned 2 hours later. They brought 3 boxes of food, canned food and cereals. They went like this several times. My father said it should be enough for a couple of months. After a week, the electricity were often turned off. There was a lot of food. They managed to carry several boxes. The neighbor went somewhere and disappeared. Dad decided to go look for him, promised to look only around the house. Mom didn't want to let him go. He left in the morning. All day we stood near the window, sometimes went out on the balcony. But there was no one in sight on the street. There was no news, no one knew anything. Why the military did not come for us and did not evacuate the city is unclear. Perhaps there are no military anymore and now we are all alone. It's been 2 days. Mom cried at night, but she didn't show me. She began to warn me not to go anywhere unnecessarily. She showed me where she was and it bothered me, as if she was preparing for the fact that I would be left alone. Then she got sick. She said that in the current situation she will not be able to cope with the disease and if she stays here, then I will have problems. She has heard that the dead are coming to life and she will be a danger to me. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, she talked about it so often. The last few days she lay and did not get up. And in the morning I didn't find her in bed. She's gone. How she was able to gather the strength to get up and leave, I do not know. I didn't notice how I ended up on the street, wearing only shorts, sneakers and a t-shirt. I started screaming like crazy and calling for my mom. At my cry, the dad began to approach. And then I seemed to wake up. Now I'm going to be torn to pieces here and everything my parents have done for me will be in vain. I ran back, closed all the doors and buried my face in the pillow and burst into loud tears. First I lost my father, then my mother. She was probably there too, among the crowd of these scoundrels. And now my father was standing in front of me, but why did he come back? How did he get inside? It turns out that he has been here all this time. In the house.